Today's daily poll question is what I want to ask you about now with your phone calls at 217-629-7970. And if you find the poll question at WMAY.com/poll, you can also sound off there. And again, the question is, should Illinois restrict or ban the sale of certain types of weapons and extended magazines? Your thoughts. Now, the question specifically says assault weapons, but I don't know what they're defining as assault weapons in the poll question, because one person's assault weapon is another person's sporting rifle, is another person's collectible, is another person's hunting rifle, or tactical firearm, because when you look at some of the definitions across the country that have been proposed for assault weapons, it changes. And some may say it's a shotgun with a pistol grip on it. Others might say a semi-automatic handgun, or others may say a semi-automatic rifle with a barrel sheath or something to that effect. But really, when you get down to it, I guess one of the common themes that those who want to try to define these types of guns as assault weapons is a semi-automatic weapon. Now, that's different from a fully automatic weapon, which you have to get special permits from the federal government in order to even own a fully automatic weapon. They're not entirely banned in the United States. You have to just have a special permit. For instance, over in Las Vegas, there are 5 or 6 different places where you can go and actually rent a fully automatic weapon. You can go shoot machine guns on a controlled range with instructors there, and you can shoot these massive machine guns for $300. You can go and try different types of machine guns, and those are fully automatic. But consumers, it's pretty ubiquitous as to semi-automatic firearms, everything from handguns to rifles and so on. As they're pretty ubiquitous all over the place, is it the right step to ban these so-called assault weapons? 217-629-7970. I want to hear from you now. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
All right. Theoretically, we the people have the right to the weaponry we need to protect ourselves from an overreaching government, right?
The Second Amendment says a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Okay. And so therefore, if the overreaching government didn't have access to automatic weapons, we have no business to automatic weapons. However, the government does have. Now, I personally would like to see them regulated. But
they are regulated. You have to get a background
not when there
check.
Can be a new mass killing every week.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, what happened in Highland Park, different things that were set up in place to try to limit individuals from getting firearms seem to not work in Illinois because the suspect passed multiple background checks.
What we need is some sort of test early on in life to try to determine which humans are going to go rabid and which aren't.
And how do you define that, though? Right?
We don't even know how to confirm that animals are rabid unless we decapitate, and that, of course, can't be done. But I define a rabid human as anyone who is sociopathic beyond the ability to be a good salesman. That sounds terrible. You have to be, to a degree, sociopathic, in my opinion, to be a good salesman, because you have to say whatever you need to say to make the sale.
Sure.
And still sleep with yourself.
And listen, there are people who will say the same things about lawyers and a whole host of other professions, even those in the news business get labeled with some pretty defamatory type of things. But listen, I hear the concern and how we need to try to weed certain individuals out. And I think one thing that State Police Director Brendan Kelly said in response to the father in this case who sponsored the suspect to get a FOID card, said that, listen, we need to start looking internally here and recognizing that even within our own families, even within our own spheres, we may have to direct somebody to get help if we see that they have mental issues, and that seemed to have been
and
the case here.
Here's part of that problem. You can't expect parents to put their life on the line when they're not allowed to discipline as they see fit.
Well, and that brings up a whole host of other issues. I appreciate the call, Lukia. As always, 217-629-7970. The question, though, is, should we prohibit the sale of certain types of weapons? Good morning. You're on WMAY.
What are new laws going to do for law-abiding citizens? Restrict us even more. Criminals don't care about any of that stuff. So honestly, what's that going to do as far as criminal enterprises go, and the ridiculously minded, such as the kid up north?
I think the supporters of such bans will say that it will make it even more difficult for individuals to get their hands on such weapons to then conduct such evil acts. But at the same time, you're limiting law-abiding residents' Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. It's a tough balancing
I wonder if they've
act.
ever shopped the black market.
Well, and you look at the violence in Chicago, right? And they obviously are not following the law. Likely they are not FOID card holders, and they have no concern for what the regulations are in their criminal activity. All right, more calls coming in, 217-629-7970. Good morning. Your thoughts. Should we restrict the sale of so-called assault weapons and large capacity ammunition magazines? Good morning.
No, I'm against it. Hello?
How come?
Because, number one, guns don't kill people. People kill people. And all these stupid gun laws they've been passing affect law-abiding gun owners. I think what we should do is focus more on crime and...
Well, and I would say focusing on crime and mental health is obviously something that a lot of these shooters have in common. And I would imagine even in Chicago, where it's gang on gang violence, there's a certain mental issue that individuals have if they have to go out and commit certain types of crimes. So looking at crime, looking at mental health, and how do we address all of that? Good morning. You're on WMAY.
I think we should handle this the same way the politicians do. They surround themselves with people with guns. Now,
well, it's not just politicians. Celebrities do that. Other high-profile figures do that. And in New York, the law that just got smacked down by the U.S. Supreme Court essentially said that you had to show certain cause in order to be allowed to conceal carry and for law enforcement to give you a permit. Well, the Supreme Court saw that as creating second-class citizens of individuals in their rights to keep and bear arms. And what you had there before the Supreme Court ruling was indeed kind of, celebrities would be able to get these concealed carry permits. Sports figures would be able to get these concealed carry permits. But the regular Joe Schmo living on the tough streets of New York was being denied the ability to protect themselves per the Second Amendment. So the U.S. Supreme Court said that can't be. So we'll see the ripples across the country on that issue. Good morning. You're on WMAY. Should there be restrictions on what kinds of weapons you can own?
No. Please don't hang up on me, okay? That's rude.
Well, it sounded like you were done talking, so finish your thought.
No, I wasn't. Because, I'm a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. I grew up in Chicago. I've almost been a victim of a crime. I can remember in the early 80s when former Mayor Jane Byrne put a restriction on handguns that you can no longer register them in the city. And what has it done to affect the criminals? Nothing. Okay? I must look at it this way. A gun is a tool. It doesn't get up by itself and just go bang, bang, bang and kill people. It's the person behind it. We as human beings, it's the person's mind. Another thing is, I don't know if you're a Christian or that, but I go to church. I see too many people are turning their backs on the Lord.
Well,
Follow me?
that could be another equation, and I'm going to have to hang up on you now because we got to take a commercial break. I appreciate everybody taking time and chiming in here. With Springfield's Morning News, I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY. Springfield's News and Talk. Follow along with me, WMAY.com. You can find social media links, or you can search Bishop on Air, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Connect with me that way. And you can always email bishoponair@gmail.com.